Hey there, today we are diving into the process of deploying a Next.js application on DigitalOcean apps platform. Let's get started. The first thing is to head over to your DigitalOcean dashboard and navigate to the apps section. Click the Create App button. Here you need to select any of the listed services provided that contain your Next.js application. DigitalOcean apps seamlessly integrates with these service providers, making deployment a breeze. In this video, we'll use GitHub. I assume you've already pushed your application to GitHub. Now, if you are selecting GitHub, let's talk about giving permission to repositories. When you choose GitHub, DigitalOcean will need permission to access your repositories. You'll be prompted to authenticate with GitHub and grant access to the repositories containing your next app. Simply follow the prompts and give the necessary permissions to proceed with the deployment. Okay, let's look into it. If you are getting started for the first time, you may see something like Manage Access. But since I have already used GitHub before, what I would do is, first of all, look if I have the application I'm looking for right here. The application I'm looking for is this one. But if you don't see the application there, you can go on Edit your GitHub permissions. This will take you to GitHub, and then you can choose the repository that you want. Once you've done that, you can see here there is all repositories. You can give access to all repositories, but what I recommend is giving access to only the repository that you want to use. In this case, you select this and then you can choose the repository that you want. Once you've done that, you can save. As an example, let me add another repository here. So with this, I'll save. And then it will redirect me back to DigitalOcean. But like I said, the repository that I want to use is this one with my portfolio, because I want to host my portfolio on DigitalOcean. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. Once I've done that, it tells me that the branch that is going to be deploying is the main branch. And then I can here choose to auto deploy or manually deploy. With auto deploy, what happens is if you push any changes to this main branch, it will auto deploy on DigitalOcean. I think that's what you would want to have. So I'll click next. So this section gives you the opportunity to add any resources that you want. For example, you can add databases at this moment. You can also edit the plan. In this case, it has given us this default 1 GB RAM. But if you want to edit this plan, you can come here and then you can see it gave us this $12 per month plan, and it gives you 1 GB RAM, 1 vCPU, 100 GB of bandwidth. And at the moment, it has given us 2 containers. It's supposed to be 1 here, but this is not what I want. What I want is to go to the basic plan, because for this application, it won't need a lot of resources. So I can choose the $5 per month basic plan. While we're still here, let me tell you that I wouldn't do this if I am hosting my portfolio on DigitalOcean. What I would do instead is create a droplet. Just create an Ubuntu server and then maybe a 2 GB droplet, which could cost me $12 again. And then with the droplet, I will add my database. I can add all the resources that I want within that same droplet. So that would be cost effective, because for example, if we have chosen this $5 per month plan, and then I want to add a database as well, then I have to add a $7 maybe database, and then you can see the price continues to go up. So the best way is to choose a droplet. But if you don't know how to create a droplet and you're not interested, then you can still go with this method. So once I've done that, I will go back and then you can see it has updated here. Another thing I can do while I'm still on this section is edit here. So right here, we can edit the name. I won't, but you can edit that, and then it also gives you the command that you will learn the port, I wouldn't edit this because by default DigitalOcean has already identified that I'm using a Next.js application, and it has given me the commands that are necessary for this application to work. So I'll go back and then click on Next. On this screen, you have the opportunity to configure your environmental variables. If your Next.js app requires any environmental variables, you can add them here. Once you're done, you can click on the Next button again. So let's say I want to add an environmental variable. I can add the key here and the value here, and then I'll press this Add button. But I'm not adding any environmental variables, so I'll just click Next. On this, you can also edit the name here. This will be used in the domain, within the domain. So I'll just say portfolio. So they will use this in my domain name. But we're going to add a custom domain, so don't worry about this. Here you can select the project that you want this application to be attached to. So I'll select this project. And then here you can also change the region as well. The best thing to do is to add a region that is closest to your audience. In this case, I don't care, so I'll just leave it to the same Bangalore. And then I'll click Next. And then now comes the exciting part, reviewing the deployment setting. If there are any necessary adjustments, this is the time to make. But once you're satisfied, you can just click Create Resource, and this will start the deployment process. Now, the summary is I'll be spending $5 for this application monthly, and I don't have any databases, I don't have any environmental variables, so we are good to go. And then it has started building the application. If you want to see the logs, you can go here, and these are the logs. Let's let it finish, and then I'll come back and show you how you can now connect your application to your custom domain. As a reminder, I have already connected the domain name that I'm going to use to DigitalOcean. And what I'm going to do in this video is to create a subdomain to that domain. If you're not familiar with the process of connecting a domain to DigitalOcean, then I also have another video that can help you do that. I'll add the link in the description below. So from here, you can see that it says it has deployed successfully. And then what we can do is click here to see the live application. And from here, you can see that this is the portfolio that I wanted to host. But look at the domain, or look at the link. This is not what I would love to share with my audience. So what I'm going to do is connect this to a domain. In fact, what I'm going to do is create a subdomain. So if I come here on networking and domains, I have this domain that I want to use. But for this domain, what I want to do is not use the domain name itself, because I've hosted another website on this domain. But what I want to do is to create a subdomain and use that subdomain for my portfolio. So what I'm going to do is go back to the apps platform, select the app that I've configured. You can see it shows this name. What I wanted to do was to change the name, but we're going to do that later. But now here, what I'm going to do is to go on settings and then go under domains. Here you can click on add domain, and then what I'm going to do is to call this portfolio dot and then the domain name. So my domain name is code with Gomez, codewithgomez.com. So I've created a subdomain to this domain. So you can see here it says, do you want to manage this domain yourself? So yeah, since we already have the domain name connected to DigitalOcean, we are going to use DigitalOcean name servers. And since we have already done these settings, I'm not going to do any further action, but I'm going to add the domain. Another option is you can manage your domain with other hosting provider or with other registrars, and then you just add a CNAME within the DNS of that registrar, and then it will also direct to this application. But I'm going to use this since I already have the domain name within DigitalOcean. So I'm going to add domain, and you can see it says new domain has been added, and then we can see it's deploying. It has deployed. We may need to wait for a few minutes or up to an hour or more for these changes to reflect or for the changes to propagate. So if I go here, you'll see that right now it says this site cannot be reached, but we'll just give it a few moments and see, let it propagate and then check it again. After some minutes, the domain name has propagated. So I'll just go again to the domain and see what's there. So now you can see that now we have the portfolio right here. And that's what I wanted to show you in this video. You can go back again. For example, we saw that the name did not reflect, or maybe we forgot to save. So I'll just call it portfolio so that I shouldn't mistake it with another app that I have, and then I'll remember to save. Now if I go back to apps, you can see that now this is called portfolio. So that's all I have for this video. See you in the next one.